If you know, you know what this is. So yeah, wait, that's the wrong Defender. Too small. That's not the right Defender. Now it's the right size, but it's missing 2 doors. Ah, finally, this is the correct Defender. So, if you guys don't know, this is a Traxxas TRX4 Defender. The Defender was the first ever body style that the TRX4 released with, and as you saw, I love my Defenders. I love Land Rovers. I just really like the aesthetic of them, and they're probably my favorite like off-road, like true off-road vehicle to exist. So, as a Land Rover fan, when this thing came out, I was absolutely in awe, and I really, really wanted one. It has like the looks of a Defender with the cool like exocades, the roof rack, the fender flares, molded bits, even like all those accessories in the back. It's also a 4-door Defender, a D110, which is less common at the time because most Defenders, RC Defenders, were usually D90s. So that was super cool. Also, it has the 2-speed transmission and remote locking diff, similar to the Summit. And I really wanted to make my Summit look more like a trail truck. So, having the looks of a Defender, the functionality of a Summit, just the overall Traxxas durability, I really, really wanted one. But the major hurdle with this truck was, of course, the price. It's $500 even now, brand new, $500. And at this point, you can get TRX4s cheaper than that, like the Sport. You can get ones more expensive than that, like the High Trail. But this car right here is still $500. But I finally decided to pick one up because I was able to get this for only $350. And even if that was for a stock truck, that would have been an excellent deal. But this actually got with a bunch of cool parts, and I wanted to kind of show you guys around. So let's dig right into this awesome TRX4 Defender. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, hey, how did you get this for only $350? And the answer is, predictably, it's used. It's in very, very good condition, very, very clean. But it's used. I was looking to get a TRX4 recently. But this one happened to pop up at my local hobby shop. I've used $350 with a bunch of parts that I'll dig into. So before we do that though, I just kind of wanted to show you around how this one came to me, just exterior wise. You can see the body is very, very clean. There are some scuffs and scratches on it, but being a gunmetal body, you can't really tell. There's a little bit, this part of the body's kind of crushed a little bit, but it tends to hide behind this rock rail anyway, so that's not too much of a big deal. Some of the window stickers are kind of bubbling up, but I'm probably going to be removing those and making them clear anyway, so again, not that big of a deal. I also wanted a blue one, similar to my TRX4M. Also, how cute is that? But anyway, I wanted a blue one, but the gunmetal actually works out because that means I can paint this on the outside, and if it gets scratched up, there's kind of like a metallic undercoating on it, so I think that's going to be pretty cool. And as you saw, it also has this like diamond plating decal, like textured decal on the rock rails here. I believe that's a Yeah Racing part. It also came with the Traxxas rigid light bar, as well as the, not the Pro light kit, but like the original TRX4 light kit. So, full light kit, Yeah Racing diamond plate. It also came with these really nice beadlock wheels, even though it's like the scale hardware on it. I'm not sure what wheels these are, but I'm assuming these are like either Vanquish or SSD or something, because usually those cheap eBay, Amazon beadlock wheels won't come with scale hardware like that. So I'm assuming it's a higher quality, a higher brand wheel, and also it just feels really nice overall. The tires are also 1.9 pit bulls, which I like the look of much better than the stock Traxxas tires, which is still the spare here. I always thought that stock Traxxas tire, one, the tread isn't very, I mean, the tread is okay, but it's a plastic glued-on wheel. It's also vented, which I personally don't like because I do run in snow and water. And it's also kind of big. It's kind of tall, kind of really, really wide. And I always thought it looked kind of awkward. So these kind of smaller pit bulls, while it does hurt performance a little bit, I think these just look much better and much more realistic. So I really, really like that. Another thing that I really didn't like about the stock TRX4 is the stock bumper. The stock bumper is again, using the TRX4M. It's like this style, kind of like a bull bar with like a fake winch on it, which looks okay, I guess, but I much prefer this bumper right here, which I don't know what brand this is. Might be RC 4-wheel drive or CC Hand or something, but it's a metal like stock factory Defender bumper, and I just think that looks way better, and also it has a lot better clearance than the stock Traxxas bumper as well. So that's super cool. Obviously you can't put a winch on this bumper, but I don't really care that much. And also if I wanted a winch bumper, I'd honestly probably go with the same bumper I went with on my Tamiya Defender, the D90. And also the bumper I had on my Grande 2 body HPI, which is, that's really close. This kind of more brush guard bumper. I think that's a really tough looking like Defender look. So I really like that bumper. That bumper, of course, you lose out in performance because it is a huge bumper, but I think it just looks better than the stock Traxxas bumper. Okay, so with that said, I have already taken this on a run, and I have already bought a couple parts for it. So the first part I bought is these mud flaps, which are super cool. It came with two sets of mud flaps, two that are printed Land Rover like this, and two that are molded in, like the ones I have on here. And I just like the look of these better for this truck, so I threw these on. They have like metal brackets on it. It seems like it's built pretty well. And the mud flaps are pretty floppy. You have them on the back here, as well as here. So I think that's gonna look really cool. Really adds to that Overland Defender look. And then I also added these GPM Racing aluminum pumpkin like skid plates, front and rear. So a lot of the ones you can get are steel, but I didn't want steel because it's gonna rust, which isn't a huge problem, I guess, but I just like the cleaner look of the aluminum a little bit better. And my main reason for getting the skid plates is actually to worsen the clearance of the portals to make it kind of like perform a little bit more similar to a just solid straight axle, because I actually don't really like the fact that this thing comes with portal axles. I know in real life you can get a Defender with portal axles, it's like an aftermarket part, but I just like how just straight axles drive. I just like how it looks a little bit better. It's a bit more realistic to most Defenders. So instead of going for the SSD straight axle conversion, which is going to be really expensive, one, and two, requires a gearing change, for now, just to get started, I thought I'd just throw this on to kind of emulate a straight axle. So I was planning on changing out the rear bumper as well, but I didn't realize that the rear bumper actually has these little holes to tab into the body, which is super cool. Helps line everything up, keep everything solid. And honestly, the rear bumper really doesn't see that much abuse anyway, so I guess there's no real rush in changing it. Even has like a trailer hitch revision. It also looks pretty good, so not in a huge rush to change out the rear bumper. I actually really like that. But looking at the rest of this chassis, it is super clean. Like the motor is still shiny, like all the mini shifter servos still work. I remember on my Summit, all of those blew out, or most of them blew out. It even has a stock steering servo. Everything's been working really well so far. I don't know why the person sold this for only 350 bucks, but this thing is like in very good condition. The chassis doesn't have any scratches on it, doesn't have any dust or even anything on it. It's just really clean. So I'm not gonna go too in depth with like stuff here because TRX4 has been out for a very long time at this point. A lot of people already know all the features, but here are some things that I personally really liked. This battery strap, no Velcro to deal with, no zip ties to deal with like some G-Made cars do. It's a really simple click. I love that. You can also change the height of them for bigger batteries. That's really cool. I really like that. And then the fact that if you're running a mini battery, you can run a mini battery recessed in there. I also really like the front-mounted 550 size motor, and it's also mounted very low in the chassis, which is going to help your center of gravity as well as your weight bias. The chassis rails are also very stiff. There's almost no flex to this thing. Absolutely fantastic. The way they package all the servos is really nice as well. The fact that it has inner fenders. So the Defender actually has the inner fenders mounted to the body instead of the chassis, which is a little bit different and a little bit weird, but still really cool that it has inner fenders. The body mounts are the traditional style body mounts, not the hidden style, which do look much better, obviously, but I personally just prefer the old traditional style just because they're a bit easier to deal with. I guess the one step up from it would be like the snap-in bodies like some of the newer Traxxas cars come with. But I feel like that's gonna be a little bit awkward if you ever want to go to a different body or something. I don't know. These are just really caveman brain, simple to deal with. Just body post, put post in hole, done. Like it's pretty simple. This XL5 HV speed control doesn't have the best throttle resolution, but overall it's been a pretty good ESC. And like a lot of the Traxxas stuff, it is pretty clean how it's like bolted down instead of like double stick taped down, so that's pretty clean. I like that. The shocks are also surprisingly nice. Aluminum, threaded body, very smooth, very nice. Really a big fan of the shocks as well. The bottom clearance is also very good. Everything is nice and flush. Link geometry looks really good. And overall, it's just like an amazing truck. Like I really like this thing. So before we take this thing on a run, look how bright those lights are. The lights on this thing actually work super well. They're actually very functional. They're very bright, like almost too bright at times. You definitely can't look directly into them. Especially that light bar is incredibly bright. The rest of the lights, you can see it lights up the headlights, the running lights and stuff. Back here, the tail lights, which all look very good. Also, you can see it has the rock lights and the fenders. Very cool. So that really opens up the versatility of like the weather conditions and the time of day and stuff that I can run this thing, which is going to be very cool, especially like in the winter and stuff where it gets dark really quickly. That's going to be really fun to play with. But speaking of play with, let's take this thing outside and take it for a quick run. It's just really fun to play with this thing, like driving it with like the open diffs, getting it stuck, and then like putting it into like the diff lock and then kind of climbing over it. It's a very realistic feeling of wheeling, I guess, off-roading, wheeling. So that really adds to the fun factor of this truck. And I know a lot of people take these things to comps. They can make them very competitive and very high performing. But for me, I really like the scale aspect more than the actual performance, because most of the time I'm running them like on a trail. Sometimes I like light rocks and stuff. So I really like the whole diff lock situation, the 2-speed transmission thing. It's just kind of gimmicky for some people, but I think it's really, really fun. Really adds to the enjoyment of this truck, especially as a trail truck. So very, very happy with that. Very happy with this purchase. I'm really happy to found it's the absolute steal of a deal that I did. And as for future plans with this, eventually I will probably go with the SSD straight axle conversion. I will be painting this body blue with a white roof, or some color with a white roof. Either painting this one on the outside or just getting a new shell to paint. I might go with the Pro Light kit, but I actually don't mind the light kit that's already on it. So there's that. The bumper, I like the bumper, but again, could go with a different bumper eventually. Who knows? But overall, I don't think I would really change too much about it. I really, really like it the way it is, and it's just a lot of fun. So this is one that I'm definitely gonna be keeping around for a while and enjoying. Mostly upgrading only to like fix stuff, like upgrading as things break, basically. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this quick overview of my latest addition to my ever-expanding collection. And as always, I hope everyone has a great day and have fun with RC.